This is a true crime story based on real events. Some nights are quiet. Some nights change everything. In the peaceful desert hills of Arizona, an elderly woman lived alone in her home. Her name was Nancy Guthrie. She was 84 years old. She had lived a long life. She had family. She had memories. She had a home filled with things she loved. Her neighbors described the area as calm and safe, the kind of place where people leave their lights on at night and feel comfortable sleeping. But one night, that feeling of safety disappeared, and Nancy Guthrie vanished. It was a quiet night in the Catalina foothills near Tucson. The streets were empty. The desert air was still. Most people in the neighborhood were already asleep. Inside her home, Nancy should have been resting peacefully. But something happened during the night. Is something violent, something investigators would later describe as deeply disturbing. When people later entered the house, they immediately noticed something was wrong. There were signs of a struggle near the entrance. Furniture had been moved. Objects were out of place. And then investigators found something even more alarming: blood. The blood was near the doorway of the house. Tests later confirmed that the blood belonged to Nancy Guthrie. For investigators, this was the moment the case changed. This was not a normal disappearance. Nancy had not simply walked away from her home. She had been taken. Investigators believe someone came to the house during the night, someone who forced their way inside, someone who fought with Nancy near the entrance, and someone who took her away against her will. For an 84-year-old woman, and the situation would have been terrifying. Neighbors reported that they did not hear anything unusual that night. No loud screams, no crashing sounds, just silence. The kind of silence that hides terrible things. As detectives from the Pima County Sheriff's Department began investigating, they focused on a very specific moment in time, 1:47 in the morning. Something important happened at that exact time. A security camera at Nancy's home suddenly stopped working. The camera did not fail by accident. Investigators believe someone deliberately disabled it. Someone did not want to be recorded. Someone standing outside that house in the darkness. And from that moment forward, the night becomes a mystery. 25 minutes later, something else happens. 2:12 a.m. A motion sensor is triggered. Movement is detected near the home. So something or someone is moving in the area. But by this time, the camera is already dark. No image, no recording. Just a silent signal showing that something was there. Investigators believe this could have been the moment someone entered the home, or the moment someone left with Nancy, but there is no video to confirm it. Then the timeline becomes even more disturbing. 2:28 a.m. Another device suddenly fails. Nancy Guthrie wore a pacemaker. The device helped monitor her heart. Normally, it would continue sending signals, but at 2:28 a.m., the monitor suddenly stopped communicating. The signal was gone, completely. For investigators, this moment raised a terrifying possibility. It may have been the moment Nancy's life was in serious danger, or the moment something terrible happened inside that house. After that moment, and the night becomes silent again. No more signals, no more movement alerts, just darkness. Hours pass. The sun slowly rises over the Arizona desert. Morning arrives. And that is when people begin to realize something is very wrong. Nancy Guthrie is gone. No one can find her. Her phone is still inside the home. Her belongings are still there. And near the entrance of the house, investigators find her blood. That 3-hour window between 9:50 p.m. and 2:28 a.m. has now become the most important part of the investigation. Detectives from the Pima County Sheriff's Department studied that timeline again and again. What happened during those hours? Who came to the house? Why was the camera disabled? What caused the motion alert? And why did the pacemaker monitor suddenly stop sending signals? Those questions still haunt investigators, because the answers may reveal exactly what happened to Nancy Guthrie. Somewhere in that 3-hour window, an elderly woman disappeared from her own home. And someone out there knows exactly what happened that night. Even as investigators studied the night, another disturbing piece of the case emerged: ransom notes, multiple letters sent to media outlets. Each one demanded millions in Bitcoin for Nancy Guthrie's safe return. But the letters themselves brought new questions and new fear. Who wrote them? Were they real? Or were they cruel hoaxes designed to exploit the nightmare the Guthrie family was living? Some notes included details that only someone close to the house could know. Descriptions of Nancy's clothing, details about her home, specifics that made the investigators take them seriously. Other letters, however, these seemed strange: unclear language, odd spelling, requests that seemed unrealistic. Was it the same person writing all of them, or had someone else caught wind of the case and tried to profit from it? One of the letters reportedly said, "You will have no way of contacting me." Another warned, "If you do not pay, you will never see her again." The family was desperate for proof of life. They had to know Nancy was alive before any payment could be considered. Investigators examined every word, every punctuation mark, every detail could be a clue. Forensic teams tried to trace the origin of the letters, digital footprints, handwriting analysis, even the type of paper and ink used. But nothing clearly pointed to the real author, and in the shadows of the case, a cruel uncertainty grew. Were these letters from the person who took Nancy? Or were they just opportunists preying on the fear and grief of her family? The ransom notes only deepened the horror. They reminded everyone that someone out there had targeted an elderly, vulnerable woman. Someone had entered her home. And now, someone, maybe real, maybe fake, was trying to demand millions for her life. For Savannah Guthrie and her siblings, the letters were more than a mystery. They were a nightmare made real, because each note raised the same terrifying question: where is Nancy Guthrie, and will anyone ever bring her home safely? As the case shocked the world, one voice rose above the fear and confusion: Savannah Guthrie, NBC News journalist, today co-anchor. A daughter desperate for her mother. She paused her broadcasting duties. She stepped away from the spotlight. Because her mother, Nancy, was missing. She took to social media with videos that shook people's hearts. Her eyes red, her voice trembling. "Please," she said, "we need help. My mother is missing. We just want to know she is safe." She spoke directly to whoever had taken Nancy. "If you are watching this, we are ready to listen. Please show us proof that she is alive." The messages weren't just words. They were a lifeline, a desperate plea from a family trapped in fear, unsure if each day could be their last with Nancy. And to show the seriousness of their hope, the family offered a reward: $1 million. Money meant to motivate anyone with information. Money meant to bring Nancy home. But no amount of money could erase the terror that gripped Savannah and her siblings. Every moment without answers was another moment of anguish. Every hour that passed, the fear deepened. And as the videos circulated worldwide, the story became more than a local mystery. It became a global tragedy. Millions of eyes watched, hearts ached, and messages poured in from strangers hoping to help. But still, Nancy Guthrie remained missing, and her daughter's plea reminded the world just how fragile safety can be. An elderly woman vanished from her own home, leaving her family desperate and the world searching for answers. No one could ignore the fear. No one could turn away, because this was real, and the clock was still ticking. Even as investigators pieced together the night and the ransom letters, questions kept growing. How did Nancy Guthrie disappear? Who was behind it? And why? Theories began to swirl, some terrifying, some almost impossible to believe. One possibility: a planned kidnapping for ransom. But someone knew she was vulnerable. Someone knew she lived alone. They disabled the camera. They knew about her pacemaker. They may have thought they could demand millions in Bitcoin and get away with it. Another theory: a targeted home invasion. Not random. Not a stranger passing by. Someone entered her house knowing exactly what to do, where to go, and what to take, or what to leave behind. Some investigators wondered if it was someone familiar with the house. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe a visitor who had been there before. Someone who knew the layout. Someone who knew her routines. And then there was the chilling possibility of a hoax ransom scheme. People exploiting the tragedy, sending letters, demanding money, spreading fear. But how could anyone be sure which letters were real? And finally, and some worried it could be the work of organized criminals, a carefully executed abduction. Professionals who planned every detail, who covered every trace. Each theory painted a picture more frightening than the last. Because one thing was certain: Nancy Guthrie had vanished. Her family had no answers. The community was terrified. And the truth, whatever it may be, remained hidden in the shadows. Every minute that passed, the possibilities grew darker. Every unanswered question made the case even more haunting. And for Savannah Guthrie and her siblings, each theory was not just speculation. It was a reminder of the danger that had struck their family, and that Nancy might still be in peril somewhere, unknown, unseen, unheard.